Audio Renaissance presents Body for Life for Women, a woman's plan for physical and mental transformation by Dr. Pamela Peeke.
Body for Life for Women, The Breakthrough for Women, Part 1. We met on a fine autumn day in 2001. Then 48, Margaret, a talented editor who sat anxiously in my waiting room, was in full-throttle perimenopause. I led her to my office, offered a seat in the Victorian armchair across from my desk, and asked why she'd come. I had a pretty good idea. She looked at me and tried to smile. Instead, her eyes welled up with tears. I'm 5 feet 5 inches and 236 pounds. I wear a size 22. I'm disgusted with my body and scared that I'm going to die. Back then, studies had just begun to implicate excess inner abdominal fat, what I call toxic fat, as a risk factor for heart disease and diabetes, among other illnesses. Margaret was aware of these studies, and she had reason to worry. The workup I gave her that day said it all. Fully 45% of her body was fat. Her fasting blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure were all above normal. Her mother had both heart disease and diabetes, and Margaret was following in her footsteps. She wanted to be there for her 3 children. She was having nightmares about losing it all. I told her that to save her life, she had to change her life. Then together, we customized a new method of living that worked for her. A new way to eat, move her body, and manage the stress that was undermining her physical and emotional well-being. Several months into her program, she left me a voicemail. Her husband, Richard, was ill. She'd be back as soon as the crisis was resolved. I sighed. I was concerned that she'd abandon all the positive changes she'd made. Who would blame her? But 5 months later, there she was, in my waiting room. I'd walked right past her. You see, she'd really changed. The sad, defeated Margaret I'd met months before had been transformed into a smiling, serene-looking, and very fit woman. Margaret told me that Richard had developed a life-threatening intestinal blockage and had had to spend weeks in the intensive care unit of a major medical center 60 miles from her home. She'd spent 4 months by his bedside. I thought, this woman had the perfect excuse to let herself go. A sick husband, a boatload of stress. She could have stopped working out, started...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?